We're officially at the halfway mark of the 2017 Sasol GTC Championship. Port Elizabeth on the Eastern Cape, a place with such a rich automotive history and home to two of our Sasol GTC teams, Engine Extreme and Volkswagen. Hi, I'm Sasha Martiningo, and it's great to be back for Sasol GTC Round 5. Michael Stephen, the reigning champion, is getting closer to Gennaro Bonafide when it comes to the points, and this weekend the action is going to be as electrifying as ever. But how do the drivers think they have done so far this year? Here's Richard Crail.
So we're 4 rounds down in 2017, and there's no doubt reigning champion Michael Stephen and current championship leader Gennaro Bonafide are the favourites for this year's title. And while they are still the only drivers to win in Sasol GTC's Premier Class, 4 race victories each, that's not to say that others aren't putting up a fight. Engine Extreme's Simon Moss and EPS Racing's Johan Ferrari have been their toughest competitors with 5 podiums each. And while the win has eluded them, the intense competition has, in a way, made up for it.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, like the last, I don't know, since 2006 or 7, we've been racing together in production cars, Michael and myself, and we always had ding-dong battles. I mean, side by side, door by door, it feels like home again. But yeah, it's need to get the qualifying right and be able to qualify in the front. Then it will be a different ballgame. But yeah, we want to win, so yeah, so we're going to give it all and we're going to come for it.
I've actually had a great beginning to the season. The only issues I've had is the last round in Zwartkops. Zwartkops never really treats me well. But besides that, I've had a very good package. Car's been quick. That gives us a little bit of extra push to make sure that the Sasol BMs are behind us and try to get a 1-2 for the team and get him back in the championship lead. And hopefully I can get ahead of Gennaro as well during the course of the year.
Some are still yet to find their feet after a challenging first half of the year.
Yeah, I think getting used to the tyres, the brakes, getting used to a turbocharged engine, which is the first for me. All those components just weren't working together, but I feel like getting to grips with it and definitely feel a lot more comfortable with it.
Beginning of the season was really tough for us. We had 3 really terrible results, which wasn't good for the team. We got 0 points literally. So that was really a downer, but the past 2 events we've shown great pace, and Zwartkops we finished on the podium. We've shown we've got the pace, we just needed to work all the time.
But for the driver with number 1 on his door, who currently sits in 2nd place, from now until season's end, you can bet Stephen will have all eyes forward on retaining his title, despite some setbacks from the beginning of 2017.
There's 1 or 2 areas, where I should have maybe taken the win and a little bit better in qualifying where I made a few small mistakes, but overall, the last 5 races we've had 4 wins and a second, so after this weekend hopefully we can get even closer, maybe even in front of the championship, but the season's still long. We're at the halfway point now, so anything's possible and we'll fight right till the end.
So, in qualifying, championship leader Gennaro Bonafide struggled with braking on the soft tyres, which cost him pole position, and he starts behind his nemesis, Michael Stephen, who claimed his 2nd pole of the season. Michael van Rooyen scored his best qualifying result in 4th, out-qualifying stablemate Johan Ferrari, while in GTC 2, it was the signature motorsport mini crew who dominated for the 3rd straight qualifying session. I'm here with Chris Shorter. Chris, a steep learning curve coming into GTC 2, but as the Polo champion, you must be relieved to get the top spot for qualifying.
Yeah, finally I got pole. There's been quite a bit of pressure being the Polo champion, but yeah, I'm super happy to have pulled off this pole. I think dominating the past 3 rounds is true testament to the team's work. They've put in a lot of hard work and dedication, and it is paying off.
Now your teammate, you've got Brad Liebenberg, he's got the last 2 poles, you've got this one. It seems to be like a Lewis versus Valtteri. How are things within the camp?
Your teammate's always your biggest rival, but me and Brad, we've worked well together. We've improved the car leaps and bounds since the 1st round, and I really look forward to working with him in the future.
Well, listen, good luck for race 1. The temperatures are fantastic. The racing is going to be superb. Let's go up to Richard.
Thanks, Sasha. Could not agree with you more. This has got all the makings of a classic, and there's an enormous crowd here today to check out the Sasol GTC racing. There's Gennaro Bonafide, the championship leader. That is his main rival, Michael Stephen, at his home circuit. Here is the track, 2.48 Ks, 8 corners, an average speed of 134 Ks an hour and a top speed just under 220 on the run into turn 1. A tricky little circuit where tyres will play a big role. To show us around, a man who's basically got a mortgage on this place, Michael Stephen.
Hi everyone, Michael Stephen, driver for Engine Extreme team, and we're going to take you for a lap around my home track, Aldo Scribante Circuit. Starting the lap, changing to 5th gear down the main straight, and braking just before the number 2 marker, reaching 217 k's an hour, hard on the brakes and back to 3rd gear. Very important to keep a nice tight apex and get the power out going into the S's. A lot of the curb on the right-hand side in preparation for a good exit through the left-hander, and on the power heading towards hanger sweep. Into 4th gear, reaching 170 k's an hour, slight lift off the throttle, just missing the curb, very high speed corner, and hard onto the brakes into the hairpin. Back down to 2nd gear, make sure you get to the apex on the power and drive all the way down to the left-hand sweep. Short shift to 4th gear, and keep a nice tight apex, keep it tight early on the power, change, and off we go down to the final corner, which is hard on the brakes, just at the 2, double apex, running it a little bit deep. Very important to get on the throttle down the main straight so that you got a good time over the line. Setting up 103.9 for pole position.
Well, it's a short, action-packed lap at the Aldo Scribante Circuit, and it should provide for thrilling racing in the Sasol GTC Africa Championship. Michael Stephen on home turf has it all to do today as he continues to hunt in the championship lead. He starts from pole position, the first lap under 1:04 at this venue. He's on pole by 4/10. The next group of 5 cars covered by just 3/10 of a second. Bryn High on debut qualifies on the front row in GTC2 alongside Chris Shorter. The margin between the two of them just 1/1000th of a second. Close, hard racing expected, 10 laps the distance. And in Port Elizabeth, we're underway for Sasol GTC action. A fast run into turn 1. And the Audis are 1 and 2. Simon Moss tucks in behind his teammate Michael Stephen. Bonafide 3rd. Hodges looking around the outside of Johan Ferree for 4th and 5th. And Michael Van Rooyen trying to buy his way into that as well. Chris Shorter and Bryn High racing side by side for the lead in GTC2 as well. Through this great little sequence of corners. And there's some cars missing at the front of GTC2. This might explain that. Bryn High a little bit wide. Shorter's on the inside. Whack! Big hit. Contact between the pair. Shorter finds the tyres gently. Should be able to recover if there's not much damage on his car. But from pole position to right to the very back of the field. That was the view from Keegan Masters a little bit further in the pack. It's really hard to form an opinion on that. Couldn't quite see what caused that contact. Running into the right-hander, contact between the 2 drivers that started on the front row. And as a result, a change of the lead in GTC2. Here's the fine at the pointy end. Michael Van Rooyen. Less than 3/10 of a second from the front row of the grid for the Rustenburg Steel Constructions entry this weekend. An upturn in form for that driver. But it's the local team, Engine Extreme, Terry Moss Racing, that are 1 and 2 at the end of the first lap. And that is a sight that championship leader Gennaro Bonafide does not want to see. An inter-team battle, but of course, just taking points away from the Sasol BMW driver, who up until this round has had quite a commanding lead in the championship so far. Through the S's then, this really quick change of direction, about 160 kilometres an hour through there. And then a long sweeping corner that brings them back around towards the start-finish line. Quite a few high-speed corners at this place as Daniel Rowe dives down the inside of Robbie Wolk and grabs a spot away from the Sasol BMW driver. Gennaro Bonafide's teammate, the Volkswagen's running line astern once again. How many times have we seen these 2 cars line astern this year? Inter-team battle Volkswagen squad. This is their home round as well. An important weekend with a lot of Volkswagen presence here at Aldo Scribante this weekend. Here's Van Rooyen. He's following Johan Ferree up the road. Now we look at the GTC2 battle. So Bryn High in front. He was able to maintain his position, but there was the pole man, Chris Shorter, now right at the back of what is a very, very competitive field. So this freight train of cars in Sasol GTC. It's much the same in GTC2. Stevenson, Comsol liveried Volkswagen Golf. He's got Mandler Matakani in behind. Mandler with a good run out of turn 1 there. Looking to make a move as they get up towards the S's. And then this quick left-hand of the road dives down, so a compression, and up to that long right-hander that sweeps around the top of the racetrack, and that's where the Sasol GTC cars are now as well. So Simon Moss, great start for the sister car to our reigning Sasol GTC champion. He's P2, we're on board with him now, and he's looking racy. Michael Stevens' cold tyre pace so far this season's generally been very, very good, but his teammate more than a match for him in the opening stages. Have to wonder how many laps those two guys have done around this place. As well as Terry Moss, the team boss. Here's a move down the inside. Looking at turn 1, we're on board with Keegan Masters, side by side. Kicks up some dust and debris on the exit of the corner, but wasn't able to get the move done. So Bryn High leads the race. That Chevy Cruise, we saw that car at East London a couple of races ago in different hands. He's only had it for a few weeks, a little bit of testing before this round to come to grips with it, but not on the tyre that we run in Sasol GTC. So first time on the Dunlops. What a debut from him. Helped, of course, by the fact the pole sitter is right at the very back of the field. And that's a real shame for Chris Shorter, who yet to win in Sasol GTC 2 this season. His teammate Brad Liebenberg, 3 wins and a second in the last 4 races. Now a fight on for the race lead. Moss looks down the inside of his teammate Michael Steven, who's left the door open into the right-hander. This is a big run from Moss. Has to be careful to not open a door for Gennaro Bonafide, and smartly he slots in behind his teammate. But what a challenge from Simon Moss, applying the pressure to Michael Steven, and now Bonafide trying to find a way past the two of them. Johan Ferrari locked in behind. He has about the talent in this top 4. Absolutely locked together. The 4 cars covered by less than a second as they battle for the lead. Very intense motor racing. Let's go on board with Trevor Bland. He's looking down the inside of Charles Smallberger. It's a good pass on Charles. He just dropped a spot. And this is Masters on Stevenson. We saw this really nicely judged move into the right-hander. So he finally worked his way past. Of action in GTC2 once again. So 4 cars line astern. And that little exchange last lap just cost Moss perhaps half a car length or 2 as he lost momentum. The replay as we look out the back of Matty Hodges, his teammate Rowe goes down the inside and grabs the spot. Textbook move. It's the place to do the overtaking today. Port Elizabeth. Blustery day. Great conditions for racing, but this place known for its wind blowing off the ocean. You can see the Dunlop flags in the background blustering around. The headwind running down into turn 1, which will make braking for turn 1 much more impressive as they break into the wind. So final corner, we're on board with Bonafide. Nice smooth throttle application from the championship leader, Johannesburg native, who's been in such good touch this year. Taken a step back recently from his DJing duties to focus more on his work with BMW, heavily involved in their motorsport and marketing division now. So real hands-on in their motor racing program, and then representing them brilliantly on the racetrack as well. He's 3rd in the race at the moment though. He's got a job to do. We look a little bit further back in the Sasol GTC pack. Battle between Robbie Wolk and Matt Hodges. Wolk trying to find his way past. Here's GTC 2. Trevor Bland running a nice P2 at the moment, coming off the back of a really tough weekend at Zwartkop's last time out. The privateer runner who is so desperate to grab a race victory against the factory teams this year. Been a big jump for him. Smallberger just with a bit of smoke out the back of his car on the run into turn 1, might have locked a brake. And a wheel on the inside there at 1 as we see a move of the 33 car of Shorter now on the comeback trail. So this will be a pleasing performance by Trevor Bland, who had a shocking weekend last time out. Just needs a big haul of championship points. And while Keegan Masters has got a very handy championship lead in GTC2, the battle for second through fourth place and even further back is very, very close. So every point you get at this point of the season is vitally important. About a performance by Bryn High. He's been a great addition to the field this weekend. Seems to be really enjoying his time in GTC2. Love to see more of that Chevy Cruze because it's a fast race car. Mandla Madakani there in car 44, just trying to catch the back of this crew. Two factory Volkswagens outside the top four at the moment. As we watch the fight for second. And here's the battle for the lead once again. So Simon Moss attacked early, had to settle back into second place, but continues to apply the pressure to his teammate. So we're more than 8 laps into this motor race now, working lap 9, and they'll be starting to feel the heat as their tyres wear out. This is a very high degradation circuit. It wears the tyres out quickly, so as the race goes on, they wear out. The car starts to slide around a little bit more. Getting power down out of that final corner is going to be absolutely critical because it sets you up for that run into turn 1, which is an overtaking opportunity. Bonafide's got the view of the 2 engine extreme Audis who are battling for the lead. Even the front wheel drive cars, Bryn High just oversteering out of that final corner as he ran out on that curb. So you can see how their tyres are wearing out as we get late in this race. Good margin for Bryn out in front. Bland caught up battling Charles Smallberger. This has been a good performance for him today. Best finish so far of second place in the championship as we ride on board with Chris Shorter. He's dicing with the Comsol car of Stevenson. He'll be a frustrated man after this race. Started from pole position. It was only 1,000th of a second, but it was his first for the year. As our leaders start the final lap. 12 months ago at this place, Michael Stephen won all 3 races. Sasol GTC's first visit to the Aldo Scribante Circuit. They had a 1-2 finish in race 2 that weekend 12 months ago as well. So on home turf, the Audi team has continued their domination at home. Bonafide has kept them honest, but unless he can get by his 2 rivals in front on the final lap, he's going to lose some more championship points to the defending champion. Michael Stevens' last 4 races have gone win-win, second win. He's in imperious form. Bonafide looks up the inside into turn 7, but couldn't quite get through. It's too quick a corner to do that. Now the final turn. It's going to be a 1-2 finish for the Engen Extreme team on home turf. Michael Stevens won 4 of the last 5, and it's a 1-2 for Terry Moss Racing. Bonafide home in 3rd place. Solid performance for him. He gets some championship points, but at the same time loses some to his championship rival. And what about this debut for Bryn High? Really well presented car. It's been fast, it's been consistent. He's managed this margin over Trevor Bland all race long. And on debut, he'll add his name to the winners list in GTC2, which is such a competitive championship. Trevor Bland home in 2nd and Charles Smallberger home in 3rd. A pressure cooker motor race to kick things off here in Port Elizabeth. Fantastic racing. Our first visit for Sasol GTC this year. So High and Bland 1 and 2 in GTC2, Smallberger, Masters, Stevenson, Shorter, Liebenberg 7th and Madakani 8th. And in GTC, it was Stephen and Moss in a 1-2 for the Black Audis, Bonafide and Ferree next with Van Rooyen, Rowe, Hodges and Wolk rounding out the top 8.
Yeah, fantastic result. Obviously starting pole, you expect to try and go for the win. It wasn't quite plain sailing. Simon and Gennaro had good pace behind me. I tried to just, maintain the pace in the beginning to look after the tyres towards the end of the race. Then I never seemed to really lose them towards the end. So, really happy for the team, a 1-2 for me and Simon. And next race will be challenging, starting from the back, but looking forward to it.
Made a good start, managed to slip in behind Mark. That was the plan from the beginning. I was all over him. I took a dive going up the inside in hairpin. It didn't. Well, I was there. It was all fair coming out. He had a little bit of an advantage, and I saw Gennaro was coming, and he was right on our rear bumpers. Managed to pull a little bit of a gap and maintain it till the end. So very happy for the team. A 1-2 and starting reverse grid. I think last and second last, and let's see what we can do.
Yeah, look, we came out of the last corner for the start. It was a very, very fast start. I pretty much thought Simon jumped it, but apparently the timekeepers, it was 2,000ths. I was ahead, so yeah. And obviously the run down to turn one, being second is not ideal with two right-handers on the outside. So I thought I'd let me slip in behind him. I saw there was a bit of a gap going in, and then it was the three of us, freight train with Johan behind us, and yeah, I thought we had a bit more pace than Michael the first few laps, but you know, he raced a good race. And look, reverse grid, we obviously start ahead of the two black cars, so we're hoping to put our BMW on the podium, and look, maybe we can get away with a little win, so that'll be good for the team.
Well, there's Chris Shorter. What an opportunity he had starting from pole. It didn't go his way, and a shake of the head for the Mini driver. Let's hear from the winner in GTC 2. Here's Bryn High.
Yeah, I had the pace. I was on the outside, and one of the minis came across and we had a bit of contact. Unfortunately, he went off, but yeah, we only just got this car. We've had it for about a month, and we've only really been able to test twice. But we've been testing on different tyres, so this is the first time we actually got to use these tyres, so I'm very happy with the way it went.
Turn one was entertaining. Keegan had a bit of a problem and called a bit of a bottleneck. Got a bit of a gap and put my head down and went. And then later on in the race, I just tried to manage tyres. Race 2 is going to be very difficult with us with tyres. We were on the same set of tyres that you started race 1 with. So yeah, tyre management towards the end of the race, but super chuffed with the result. A big bounce back from Swartkops. Let's hope race 2 goes as well.
So celebrations on the Sasol GTC podium, another win for Michael Stephen, and drawing closer to Gennaro Bonafide's championship lead. Down at the Signature Motorsport camp, a debrief after a disappointing opening race, but Chris Shorter is a man on the rise, and you can't help but feel that a victory in GTC 2 isn't far away. "2017 started as a baptism of fire for the Signature Motorsport team in GTC 2, with Mini's return to South African production car racing not going quite to plan when the season began.
Obviously round 1 was quite a low for us, coming off such a high from the previous year after winning the championship as a team together. Then unfortunately after Brad's incident and my lack of pace, well the car's lack of pace because we were still waiting for parts, it was extremely tough. And I think we had a long hard think after the first race as to what we actually need to do to be competitive in the class. But I had full faith in Sean van der Linde and the whole technical team. So there's been a few long nights, a lot of thinking done, but finally at the end of the day all that hard work has paid off.
With the Mini team scoring 2 class wins at East London, and more podiums at Zwartkops, including Shorter's first, the Polo Cup champion is starting to see his faith in the team pay off, even if it has been one of his more challenging seasons to date.
Well, driving the Minis has been a big challenge for me, especially learning how to drive a turbo car as well as a car with an LS diff. But I think things are starting to come along quite nicely, especially after the last round at Swartkops. The team's worked extremely hard to develop the cars, and I think the team's hungrier than ever to just continue with the success and continue winning races.
So with both drivers in the top 5 of the GTC2 Championship with half of the season to go, Shorter believes the Mini JCW team's recent success has put them in with a chance for that top spot come season's end.
Yeah, I think we definitely are the team to beat, after being the team that's trying to catch up the whole time. I know for a fact the VW aren't going to take it easy and they're going to come back fighting hard. So we just got to come back fighting that much harder. The main aim now is to try and get one of our drivers to win the championship. Brad's obviously in a very strong position at the moment. So I think if we can win the Drivers' Championship in our first year coming back, I think that'll be an amazing achievement for the team.
At the opening round of 2017, GTC category management knew something was not quite right. While racing battles were fierce, engine reliability was down, and some teams struggled to push the limits of their GTC race cars. So the powers that be faced the challenge head on, and now after exhaustive discussions with stakeholders, the category has unveiled a new research and development program aimed to assess all potential options for future power plants. GTC Technical Director Vic Maharaj admits that opening the door to more privateer entries in the process is also a motivation behind the announcement.
I think the important aspect that you're trying to look at is what will remove the barrier of entry for independent type drivers and independent type teams. Not all the teams have the infrastructure that, say, these manufacturer supported teams have. So we want to try and make it as simple and as easy for the independent driver. You want the guy to be able to get into the car, push the button, race, and race for an entire season, possibly winning even a race if he has the ability and the team to actually back him up.
With the GTC management team taking on the weight of investment for the program, Maharaj reaffirms the category's commitment to progress, with every option available ready to be tested.
We're looking at obviously turbocharged options, but we're definitely looking at a normally aspirated option. I mean, all our fans out there possibly want a V8 option. The good news is we're definitely looking at it. We definitely will assess it, and we're going to be very exhaustive in all our testing. Make sure the thing lasts, make sure it's reliable, and above all, it really is a spine-chilling treat for our fans.
So, how will GTC make the most of the program moving forward?
We're going to build a GTC-owned race car. We're going to use that as our laboratory to test every single power plant option that is available to us and that we speak to all our stakeholders about. I think importantly, Sasol has been intrinsically involved in this discussion point with us. We will effectively take it to as many racetracks as possible amongst different weather conditions, and possibly run it under race conditions to see how it works. And again, importantly, to expose this to our fans out there and see if they really enjoy it or not. I'm sure we'll get a lot of feedback once we put this car out on the circuit, and we're certainly looking forward to it.
Welcome back to Aldo Scribante Round 5 Sasol GTC action, and with me, one of the founding members and GTC director, Gary Formato. Gary, this is a turning point and a massive day in the history of Sasol GTC racing.
Yeah, look, it certainly is. I mean, over the last couple of months, we've had a lot of interest. I think, you know, in GTC, the racing at Kyalami was really a turning point for us, and it's been getting better and better. But we want to keep on growing the formula, and obviously now necessitated the implementation of an engine development program. There's so many privateers that want to come in now and race for GTC, but we've got to offer them a more affordable, a less restrictive opportunity in terms of the technical ability required to run the cars, and we're looking forward to embarking on that program. There's a number of options we're looking at, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty exciting to find out just, you know, where we come out with it. And you know, I for one certainly, I think, and the rest of the team, looking forward to the challenge of finding something that's going to suit GTC perfectly.
Well, I tell you, that is the news that so many people want to hear about GTC racing going forward. Speaking of the action, let's cross over to Richard.
Thanks, Sasha. Great to see Gary Formato on the grid as well. A frustrated racing car driver, yes, but doing great work behind the scenes here at Sasol GTC, and exciting times for the future. Right, the reverse grid race. They've been incredible so far this season. I wonder what they'll deliver here at Port Elizabeth. This is going to be a very, very interesting show. Robbie Wolk will start it from pole position in the Sasol BMW. Matthew Hodges will go alongside him. Daniel Rowe and Michael Van Rooyen from the second row of the grid. Chris Shorter, lucky in a way to get pole position in this race after being so unlucky in race one. Ian Stevenson from second, Tegan Masters and Bandler Matakani on the second row of the grid. And man, that category has been so hotly contested this season. And this race should be more of the same. Bryn High, the winner from race one, starts from the back. So we're underway in the reverse grid race here at Aldo Scribante in front of a big crowd on a windy but otherwise fine day. And Robbie Wolk leads the field into turn one. Hodges in the Volkswagen trying to send it round the outside, but he went a little bit too wide there and he loses all of the spots right to the back of the GTC pack behind the two Audis. He had a big go but went in a little bit too deep on cold Dunlop tyres, and Hodges goes from second to last in class. The Mini leads GTC 2. Van Rooyen up to P2. What a flying start from the Rustenburg rocket. There's Rowe down the inside. Bonafide trying to follow him through. It's so vital for Gennaro this race as Johan Ferree comes off the road. He's another to lose a bunch of spots early in a wild opening lap. We're on board with Ian Stevenson. Solid start for him in GTC 2. Robbie Wolk has disappeared up the road. Great cold tyre pace from the Sasol BMW driver, former open wheel champion, first season in the class this year, yet to break through for a race win. There's been plenty of speed there and we know that those cars are good. So one lap down, a 15-lap race on tyres they've already used in race one. So these Dunlops have already worked hard once as Rowe has a big wobble into turn one, locked the rear brakes going in there, and he's another one that's going to be gobbled up. This field is so close and so competitive that if you make one mistake, you'll be shuffled back multiple spots. And he splits the two NGen Extreme Audis. Moss now in front. Michael Stephen, the race one winner, in behind. Here is the defending champion. What an incredible run he's had for the last couple of laps. Last couple of races, I should say, as he goes down the inside of the Volkswagen Jetta and gets the job done. So he continues his march forward. He has made these reverse grid races an art form this year, Michael Stephen. Incredible performance after such a shocking start to the season. With low finishes and a DNF in the first 3 races this year. He got to Kyalami and won that reverse grid race there. And he is so far undefeated in the second race of GTC action after that race. It's been a remarkable performance. He's got the job to do. Here's Chris Shorter out of that final corner. He'll be so careful in applying the throttle out there. It's a long exit. You can run wide out over that exit curb and it will cost you momentum on the run down into turn one. So that's the GTC 2 field. This is the view from our race leader. By the sounds of it, just kissing the rev limiter there on the run into turn one. So it's a 220 k/h approach. Johan Ferrari looks down the inside of Daniel Rowe. He went really deep there. You could see the car wobbling around under brakes. He was right on the limit, and he's still right on the limit. Down the inside, now he's on the outside of the road as they get into this fast change of direction. Great little exchange between the two of them, and it looked like Ferrari just got shoved out wide there. The EPS car, did he get the spot? There's a move going on further. They're still side by side, in fact. This time it's one of the Volkswagens. Bonafide rubs with Van Rooyen. And the side pod of Michael Van Rooyen's Rustenburg rocket comes off. Won't affect the handling of that car too much, that little side skirt between the front and rear wheels there. So just a bit of bump and run between the two. Bit of debris for Simon Moss to negotiate. So he heads down the hill into the compression into the left-hander. Much improved weekend for Michael Van Rooyen. It's the fight for P2. The two Audis in behind. Bonafide round the outside at the final corner. It'll put him offline into turn one. And watch for those two Audis to try and capitalise on that. So Gennaro knows the importance of getting to the front quickly in this race because he knows that those two Audis have got great pace and home track advantage. And he needs to clear them as quickly as he can to keep that championship lead he's got alive. Van Rooyen holds on. Great bit of racing. He held the inside line and Moss now fights his way through. A little bit of contact, but good opportunistic move from Simon Moss. And now Michael Stephen looks to the inside. Championship contenders 1 and 2. Bonafide the leader. He's led since the opening round. Down the inside goes Michael Stephen. Could be a key moment for the championship. Oh, more so than we think because they're off. The championship rivals come together. Michael Stephen spins. Bonafide way out in the dust. Big contact between the two. Looks like they're undamaged. And Michael Stephen quickly back on the racetrack. But that is an enormous moment in the context of the championship. Not for the least of which it means that Michael Stephen is further up the road than Gennaro Bonafide. So here's a look. This is the Sasol BMW. They're side by side, exit of the corner. Oh, how do you judge that? How do you judge that? Bonafide was on the outside. Stephen passed, but was at the same time moving across to the left. And Bonafide had nowhere to go. And that's what turned the number 1 NGen Extreme Audi around. I would suggest that is a moment that might rattle around the paddock for a couple of hours after this race. I don't think either driver will be particularly thrilled about what occurred there. Well, the driving's been so clean, it's been hard and fair this year, and that's the first time we've really seen those two especially come together. And that could be a critical moment. Wow, this race, these reverse grid races, they are worth the price of admission and then some. So Robbie Wolk continues to lead the race. That was the fight for second. This is Gennaro Bonafide on the comeback trail now. So he's working his way past that leading group in GTC 2, which is being led by the champion Mini of Chris Shorter. So we mentioned at the top of this race that he was unlucky in race 1, but as a result of the reverse grid starting order for race 2, it actually elevated him to pole position. So it gives him that opportunity to have another go. Now Moss looking to find room at turn 1. He went very deep. He put the nose up the inside of Van Rooyen, who gives him racing room. And Simon Moss goes through, driving with such confidence this weekend. He's got great pace, home track. He grew up here. His dad raced here so much. And that is showing in his performance to just elbow his way past Michael Van Rooyen, who, it has to be said, is doing a terrific job this weekend. Best weekend for him and that Fast Developments team so far. Be really promising. He's had rotten luck. A couple of mechanical dramas on that car. This has been a big upturn in form. Upturn in steering lock there from Simon Moss as he runs wide on the exit of the final corner and has a big slide. So he's got the job to do. 4 or 5 seconds now to Robbie Wolk, who's got the lead of the motor race. Van Rooyen next. Then we go back a little bit further to this battle between the two Volkswagen Jettas. A lot of the Volkswagen hierarchy here this weekend watching on. Promising performances from that team. They're improving as the season goes on. Matthew Hodges had a 3rd and a 4th last time out at Zwartkops. Promising stuff for him. He's only 5th in the championship coming into this weekend, but the results may just be starting to flow for a guy that's a very impressive race car driver. Of course, Volkswagen have got 2 bullets in the barrel because they've got contenders at the front of Sasol GTC and of GTC 2. And it's been great so far for both Keegan Masters especially and Madla Matakani, who we saw with a victory earlier on this season. But out in front, it's the champion Mini, Signature Motorsport. Such a tough start to their season for the 33 car. But it all turned around when Bradley Liebenberg broke through at East London for their first victory. Incredible performance there. He got both wins and he's won 3 of the last 4 races in the GTC 2 class. So the tide really turned after a dominant start to the season by Keegan Masters. He's still applying the pressure, it has to be said. There's just 6 or 7 tenths of a second between the two of them. That's a look back through the field. Charles Smallberger followed by Madla Matakani, and then we go back to Liebenberg. But it's Chris Shorter who leads the way. Qualified 5th in that class a couple of times before this weekend. It was his first pole position. As we now watch the 2 teammates, I suppose, different liveries, yes, but run by the same Fast Developments race team, Johan Fourie, who's been quite quiet this weekend after a pretty tough time out at Zwartkops last time as well. Fiery start to the season for Johan. He'll be looking forward to returning to Cape Town later in the year when we go back to the really fast and challenging Killarney circuit, which is his home ground. He'll be looking forward to that. Still yet to break through for a maiden Sasol GTC victory this season. Michael Van Rooyen, his next target. We ride with the vastly experienced champion South African race car driver. Let's have a listen to car 14. Well, we're listening and it doesn't sound good. Struggling to go from 3rd to 4th. The DAS has shut off on that car as well. So it sounds to me, with an educated guess, there could be some electrical problems in car 14. The EPS Courier's car was going very nicely. A podium finish on the offing in this race. And now it's limping home. Such a shame for Johan. Such a good start. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to come to nothing. And he will look to the next round of the championship. So, Robert Wolk leads the way. Yet to win in Sasol GTC. It's been a solid start to the season for him. Luck probably hasn't gone his way. He's had a 3rd place early on this season at East London. He was P3 in the reverse grid race there. But has really played second fiddle to Gennaro Bonafide. And that's not talking down about Robbie. He's been really quick, but all the focus has been on Gennaro. and the 32 car in that performance at the front of the field. So this race with 5 laps to go will be such a welcome uptick in form for the 9-time South African open wheel champion who moved into the Sasol BMW team this year. He replaced Henny Gronewold, who retired in that team. It was a big ask. He's been getting faster and faster, and he's got 5 laps to go to look to break through for a maiden victory. Not done yet in GTC 2 either. Here's Keegan Masters continuing to apply the pressure to Chris Shorter. So Bryn High with a victory early on in this race. He was the 4th different winner in GTC 2 this season. It's been so competitive. I know we say that a lot, but it's really worth pointing it out. And these minis, Signature Motorsport have done an outstanding job in building them up. 3 weeks, remember, before the opening round of the championship. Those 2 cars were road cars ready to be turned into races. And it's now turned into a terrific battle between them and Volkswagen Motorsport. Wow, off the road. Big contact, Liebenberg and Mandla Matakani. Again, that corner has been the action zone all weekend. So Liebenberg was up on the inside there. Both just drove off the road. Let's have a look from the Ferodo Mini. So there was contact going into the corner. Matakani on the outside. I think Mandla was trying to turn in, and he found a bright red and black Mini parked on his driver's door, unable to squeeze through, and they both drove themselves off the road. Unfortunate incident, and we're a little bit further down the GTC 2 field anyway. It's certainly not going to be either of their weekend as Van Rooyen continues to chip away. That's the margin, 1st to 2nd. Robbie Wolk to Simon Moss. There's 3rd place. Michael Van Rooyen. Can he break through for a maiden podium in Sasol GTC? It would be the end result of a lot of hard work, and this battle continues. Matakani up the inside, Liebenberg with the switchback. Terrific racing now. Little bit of a bump perhaps on the exit of the switchback chicane, through the fast sweeper, then into the right-hander. Great undulating bit of racetrack. This is a terrific racetrack that's been hosting national level racing since 1975. It's only 2.5 Ks, but in its 8 turns it packs a lot of action. And the big Volkswagen contingent here this weekend will be cheering on Mandla Matakani, who broke through earlier this year for his 1st win. Bryn High's just a little bit further up the road. Here's our leader, Robert Wolk. Started racing aged 9. He's 9 times a champion through Formula Ford and Formula Volkswagen. He moved to BMW when he joined the production car series, and then stepped up, as we said, into Sasol GTC this year. He's one of that next generation of drivers coming through the ranks in South African motorsport. He's the guy following in the footsteps of people like Johan Faree and Michael Stephen. And behind him is Simon Moss, who is very much in the same vein. 2 young guys, 2 great young drivers, and they're 1st and 2nd in this race. Mossy's taking a little bit of time out, by the way, but at the rate he's going, he might get within 1.5 seconds by the end of the race, but it won't be quite enough to challenge for the lead without any mistakes from our race-leading BMW. This, however, is a whole lot closer. Keegan Masters now right on the back of the number 33 Mini with just a couple of laps to go in this one. It's still on for GTC 2. Stevenson in the Comsol car running 3rd. Really good performance by him this weekend. Most competitive weekend yet for Ian Stevenson, who was just 7th in the championship coming in. Here's Robert Wolk. Good driving from Trevor Bland there. The TB Racing driver indicated to his right and said, Robbie, you're in the Sasol GTC car. You've got more pace. Go through. I will let you through. I'm not going to fight you. There's no point. Really good heads-up driving. And this is one of the challenges. We saw it at Kyalami earlier this year, where it was probably the first round where it played a major role in the faster cars working their way through lap traffic in these races as they get to the end. Race 2, 5 laps longer than race 1, so they've caught the GTC 2 cars. Now they have to pass them. It's all part of the job description of being a Sasol GTC driver. Robbie Wolk's got to the back of Bradley Liebenberg now. He goes past Mandla Matakani. Shows the performance of GTC 2 car. Those cars are fast. They're not giving away a lot of performance, especially in the slow speed corners. It's the high speed stuff where the Sasol GTC cars are so good. 1 lap to go. 2.48 kilometres standing between Robbie Wolk and a maiden victory in the Sasol GTC Championship. Vic Maharaj and the VM Innovations team have worked so hard on this BMW program. They've had great success with Gennaro Bonafide. Now it's the turn of his teammate to do the job. Keegan Masters continues to apply the pressure to Chris Shorter, looking for his first win. Stevenson wide, that corner. Should put a big grandstand there. It'll be full before race 1. There's so much going on up there. I think that's the definition of understeer, Ian. A little bit wide. As much steering lock as he could wind on in car 69 and off the road. So there's Wolk, there's Moss. He's got a little bit of time, but it's not enough. So this great young driver who's come up through the ranks of South African motorsport into the top level of Sasol GTC competition rounds the final corner. And for the first time in the Sasol GTC Championship, Robert Wolk is a race winner. Well done, Robbie. Win number 1. Simon Moss home in 2nd place. Great drive for him. And it'll be Hodges home in 3rd place. Now let's have a look. This is a replay coming through that final sweeper. So Daniel Rowe watching Van Rooyen, who has a big slide and crunch. Wow, high speed off. Daniel Rowe, absolutely nothing he could do there. The back end of the Rustenburg rocket broke away through that high-speed sweeper, and Rowe had nowhere to go but to collect the number 95 car. What a shame to end their race, and this is the fight to the line in GTC 2. Chris Shorter. It's been a great performance. Desperately unhappy after that contact at the start of race 1. He went to the back of the field. It got him pole position for race 2. He's led from start to finish and looking to be another new winner in GTC 2 this year. Keegan Masters, the championship leader's got it all to do. Through the double wave yellow zone into the final corner. No overtaking there, which helps Chris Shorter. What a performance. First race win. Chris Shorter breaks through. It's his first in GTC 2. Well done, Chris. What a performance. What a motor race here in Port Elizabeth. What a weekend for Robbie Wolk and the Sasol BMW team. He's just the 3rd different driver to win a race this season, and his first in a career that I am sure will bring many more. For Daniel Rowe, well, that's the after effects of a pretty tough weekend for the Volkswagen Motorsport team. He limps his car home with significant damage. Robbie Wolk, the winner, in front of Simon Moss, Hodges and Stephen 3rd and 4th, with championship leader Gennaro Bonafide only P5 in front of Michael Van Rooyen and Rowe. So Bonafide's margin, it's reduced. Now just 29 points going into round 6 of the Sasol GTC Africa Championship.
Yeah, we had a bit of disappointing qualifying, so in the race, just got boxed in a bit at the start and then decided to consolidate and go for the pole. New tyres, just pushed it hard initially. I think we were fastest lap. Burnt out the tyres, but we managed to get the gap, and after I had the gap, it was just about managing it. So yeah, it all paid off. Got a bit boxed in by the GTC 2 cars towards the end, and thankfully it all paid off, so fantastic feeling.
I tried to go around the outside of Robbie into 1, but unfortunately he outsmarted me on, going on into turn 1 on the brakes. So yeah, he made me run a bit wide, and I put 2 wheels off, so I lost all the ground there. But I had to go for it, so I had nothing to lose. And then yeah, the race was just carnage from there pretty much. But we had good pace compared to the first heat, which was good for us. And we hung in there, and luckily we ended up on the podium. So for VW in front of their home fans, this is exactly what they needed.
And more celebrations down at the Signature Motorsport team. The champion Mini this time, the one on top. After a 2nd and 3rd at the previous round, it's Chris Shorter's turn to grab a victory. He's the 4th winner so far in GTC 2 this season. Keegan Masters and Charles Smallberger next. And the championship points looks like this, with Masters in front of Bland, but those 2 Minis rapidly climbing up the order.
Yeah, I finally got the win. Was a bit disappointed after race 1, after being taken out. But I just decided rather conserve the tyres, get the reverse grid pole, and then have a go at it. And I had a good first few laps, but Keegan and the Golf were coming, but I was able to hold him off. Just a massive thank you to Signature Motorsport, to Champion, to Mini. I'm so happy that I can win for them on their return this year.
Drama and excitement, Sasol GTC at Aldo Scribante. Congratulations, 2 new winners, Chris Shorter in GTC2 and of course Robbie Wolk when it comes to GTC. Make sure you join us 12th of August, Swartkops Raceway for round 6 of the Sasol GTC Championship. From me, Sasha Martinengo, see you again. Take care. Ciao, ciao.